Protections.
Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast.
All right, y'all. Well, welcome to the Green Route. Episode 2 of the new format, the new setup.
The relaunch.
Last week we had, one of my favorite people in the world.
Season 2.
Is it season 2?
Yeah.
I guess I should call it season 2.
It's season 2.
Okay. All right. I like that. So yeah, season 2.
Seasoned 2.
Okay.
And then like some fingers come in and, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, last week's episode was excellent.
Yeah, we had Laura Wise, and man, if you weren't here, please go listen to that episode. We named it America's Got a Problem, and probably aliens too. And so, Laura and I had a great conversation about what we believe.
That mermaid's take was...
That was fantastic.
Because we come from the water.
Yeah.
So there's probably,
Yeah. The Neil deGrasse Tyson, remember the universe thing that he did for ABC like years ago? Mm-hmm. So when they start explaining like how a lot of our systems developed in the water and how some of them are still evolving.
That's why our infections smell fishy.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Our eyes, apparently we were initially like developed to see underwater, but then when we made landfall,
I didn't know that.
That's why we have like all the eye issues that we still have, where people have like astigmatisms, things like that, because initially our eyes were. We could go all day.
It could be okay. We'll just leave it here. But anyway, that was a great take.
Yeah, no, she's dope. Somebody actually said that we should do like an alien episode.
Absolutely.
So, you want to come?
I was talking back to my TV last week, just like, and another thing.
And also,
everybody has a take.
Yeah.
That was a good topic.
100%. So y'all, today, I have the amazing, incredible, one of the great loves of my life. Oh. His mama named him Nathan Wright IV. Mm-hmm. We call him Great Black Century because he has this theory about, in essence, what would be a great Black century. I did not know that James Baldwin had a similar theory about us just being left the fuck alone.
Just leave us alone.
And how...
Just let us cook.
Yeah, right. Let us do what we do.
Yeah.
Folding chairs and all, and we'll be good to go. So y'all, Nathan is an incredible recording artist, visual artist, has one of the best eyes I've probably ever seen. And I'm so grateful, number one, that, he's sitting here with me, but also that he's been involved in this show literally since its inception, and really just pushing me to develop, something that I believed in and I had a vision in, and, something that he came to believe in too. So
good.
Thank you. So
good. Yeah.
All right. So, we got some interesting things to... We
got a jam-packed show.
We got some interesting things to talk about this week. And we are saving the best for last. So don't even leave, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Because...
everybody knows it's coming.
How could it not? How you been feeling all week?
Triumphant. I feel unfolded.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, powerful.
Beyond measure.
Swinging low.
Sweet chariot.
Sweet
chariot.
Yeah, man. Just
say it again, because I don't think they caught it.
Sweet chair.
Yeah.
It just feels great. I feel great.
Okay. Yeah.
Carried me on up through the week.
I love it. Yeah.
I watch it every night before I go to bed.
I mean, honestly, it does something for my soul. Like, it does something down in here for me. Yeah.
Just check in with it like a old like Whitney Houston Grammys performance. You just want to check in with it, watch it again.
Make sure it's still seasoning well.
Let it fill you up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that. All right, y'all. So don't leave, because that's number 5. But we got to hit our top 5. All right. So let's go on and jump in. The first one, y'all, is really about a technology we have all been hearing. It's a buzzword around your companies. I'm sure your executives are using it to get funding from the board so that they can build shit that they don't need.
1,000%.
Yeah. So artificial intelligence. Before you think iRobot, think ChatGPT, Bard. There's another one called Scale AI that's coming around. Elon Musk started a company apparently. Okay, so this is the thing about Elon Musk. He sat down and was just like, ooh, we got to be careful about AI because I feel like it's going to hurt humanity if we're not careful. And then like a week later, he founded an AI company.
He was like, guess what, y'all? I mean, that's like, it's like, oh man, I wouldn't use that shoe polish. Yeah. And then a week later, just be like, hey man, this shoe polish that I invented just now is the best. I mean, we should have seen it coming.
Opportunist at his finest.
We should have seen it coming with dear Elon.
Mr. Muskie.
Is Elon short for something?
I think his mama named him that. Yeah.
That's the full joint.
Okay. I think that's the name, his given name. Because he named his baby like X. It's an equation or something, right? Like he named his child an equation. Yeah, dead ass. It's like some, I went to calculus, but
oh yeah, math. Me and math didn't mix.
Like I was cool at it, but like the equation that he named his child, I really don't know what it's solving for, what it's attempting to prove. I have no idea what this equation means.
Yeah, I dare not even guess.
We don't care that much. I'm gonna be honest.
We don't.
We actually don't care.
We don't.
All right, so let's talk about AI, y'all. And really, the issue with AI that we've known about, one of the issues with AI that we have known about for a very, very long time, given in its inception, people found this out, is that it actually perpetuates a lot of the social issues.
Surprise.
Right. And it's because AIs learn from the people who created. Right. So if we have our own intrinsic biases, the AI is going to pick that up. 1,000. Hence why diversity and things are important in the fields that are developing, these tools. So there's a story that's coming out of Detroit. A woman by the name of Porcha Woodruff. So she was in her house getting her children ready for school when the police came knocking at her door. She's pregnant at the time, by the way.
8 months.
8 months. Yes, 8 months pregnant. The police say, hey, you've been identified as a robber and a carjacker. This 8-month pregnant woman. The reason she was identified was because a faulty AI facial recognition software decided from all of the other things that had been inputted into that AI that she fit the description of the person who committed this robbery and this carjacking.
And it just goes to show you how stupid this is, because out of all the witnesses you talked to, nobody said, yeah, she was pregnant. Like she had a big old bump. Like
nobody was like, I think she was carrying. I'm
pretty sure she was expecting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the first common sense. That's the first common sense smell test that they failed. But I mean, I feel like Black people have seen a failure of technology at every level, from like small potatoes down to like, the fucking the censored faucets in bathrooms
that won't even pick our shit up.
Won't pick your shit up. And then I mean, even like, has anybody looked at a yearbook from the 90s? When was the last time you did that?
Like black and white?
Yeah. Those photos of the Black children, horrible. Like we just look like. And
don't be dark skinned. Don't be chocolate.
It's a wrap, man.
It's just eyes and teeth.
You just wasn't even in the. You're not in the yearbook.
Did he go here? Like, did he attend this school?
His smile did.
I can't really be sure, bro.
And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like, it could be, we could have just foretold that this was going to be an issue. With AI. But of course, it comes with, when you put it in the hands of law enforcement, it just becomes deadly as fuck. Because thank goodness that, it's horrible that she was arrested and held for 11 hours. But like, thank goodness that they didn't murder her. Because we all know that that's always on the menu when the police can come to your house.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that you make a really good point in that this just perpetuates what we already know. And literally it's just going to make it worse, because now you have these people with this tool who believe that this tool is useful, but forget that this tool is built with the same biases as the person who built it.
Absolutely.
And so I was actually listening to NPR earlier today, and there is like a scholar on AI technology and what is it called? Like digital social justice or social digital justice or something like that.
Didn't even know that was a department.
Yeah, no, she studies at like UCLA, or she works at UCLA. And so the lady was pretty much talking about like, how do we fix this? And crazy enough, so she lives in South Central LA, and she talked about how that neighborhood and neighborhoods like it are over policed already. And so if you have something like this Minority Report type of technology coming about, of course they are going to focus on where historically the major arrests have been, the majority of policing has been. And so what it also does, and I thought this was interesting, is that it begins to create a blind spot for other white collar, well-to-do neighborhoods that are already blind to police. Yeah. Now they can, like, what's that movie, Suburbicon?
Yes.
Remember, they were like so worried about this family moving in, and this guy's murdering people.
Right. They were so distracted. This white mob was so distracted by these black people living peacefully that they didn't even see the white man murdering someone in the shadows. Yeah. And so that's a great point. So did you have anything else on her, what was her first name?
Porcha. Porcha was her first name. Okay, so she was taken into custody in February. So again, police showed up at her house. She was held for 11 hours, and they actually had her released on $100,000 bond. So they truly believe that this was the robber and the carjacker.
Do they get that back now that they've dropped everything?
Yes.
Okay.
So she will get it back. So they dropped the case a month later. And then apologized, saying, oh, it was a faulty software, our bad. Well, now she's suing. Of course, because she actually had to go to the hospital because of complications with her pregnancy after they released her.
She was having contractions in the cell.
Yep.
They held her.
So yeah, I mean, thank goodness that she has the representation. Well, I hope that she has the representation that she needs to get all her change for pain and suffering and everything else that she went through.
I hope she sues them for the city of Detroit, and they have to rename Detroit Porcha. Portia, Michigan. It should be.
That's actually not bad. All right. Did you have anything else on the AI stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So, basically just about technology and law enforcement. Do you remember, I think it was 2021 when they brought out what they call the DigiDog, that robot dog?
I do. Police departments were rolling it out.
Right. It started in New York City first. Okay. NYPD did it first. And of course, the public was just like, please don't do this. They protested. They deployed it in a home invasion in the Bronx. And then people were like, yo, this is scary as fuck. And then they took it to a public housing property in Manhattan, and people were just like, yo, they were basically like, this is emblematic of like how the police deal with poor people. Yeah. And so the NYPD terminated their contract with Boston Dynamics, the people that built that robot. Okay. They terminated the contract in April of 2021. Almost a year to the day, that was under de Blasio. Almost a year to the day, Eric Adams, the new mayor, the black mayor of NYC, who was the law enforcement guy.
Who is that? The guy who carries a fake beat up picture of a police officer in his wallet? I just wanted to point that out. It's being said that he had his staff print a picture, beat it up, spill coffee on it, and then he put it in his wallet so that he could pull it out at campaign events to say,
it would not surprise me.
I keep a picture of my friend who was slain.
That sounds on brand.
Yeah.
Because in April of this year, 2023, he is re-rolling out what he calls high-tech crime-fighting bullshit, basically. It includes surveillance drones, security robots, a gun that shoots GPS trackers onto fleeing cars.
Okay.
Yeah. And the DigiDog is back, and he even said, and this is what makes me think that story about the picture is true, because he's corny. And he said at this unveiling, DigiDog is out of the pound. All of this to say is that like they have law enforcement has a hard on for this technology, but we all know that like no matter how well intentioned it is, like I mean, look what happened in Detroit,
right?
And so it doesn't matter what they say about DigiDog or this fucking gun that'll shoot a GPS tracker on you.
That's right.
It's going to be mishandled, and unfortunately, people's lives will be at risk.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, you know, when I was reading through Portia's story, she was, I believe, the 5th person to be wrongfully identified.
Yep, all black.
All black. She was the first black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is this was a pregnant woman. So it'd be different if it were me and I could potentially blend in with a group of other black women. But this woman was pregnant when it and 8 months pregnant at that.
You did it, didn't you? That reminds me, I have a book rec just about this. It's called Invisible No More, Police Violence Against Black Women and Women of Color by Angela Y. Davis. I started it a couple years ago.
Okay.
It's an excellent book, but I will say it's tough.
It's hard to read. Okay.
It's tough. So you're going to have to take some breaks. But it's excellent because it shows it's a great example of how the ways that the criminal justice system preys on and fails women of color and black women like at unbelievable rates.
Yeah.
In ways that we don't necessarily see with black men. And so it's an excellent book if you're interested in checking that out.
100%. Because I don't know how many arguments I've had with my black male friends about the lack of visibility when it comes to women who suffer at the hands of the police.
Well, and you know it's just a different type of nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Like, the sexual assault rate between police officers and women of color, sex workers, LGBTQ sex workers, or LGBTQ people, period.
Yeah.
Because if you're walking down the street and you're a trans woman, they automatically assume that you're a woman of leisure.
Yep.
But that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just in ways that we just don't talk about or hear about enough. So.
Yeah. I definitely will check that out, and I'll make sure to put it in the show notes.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. So that people know. Yeah. And speaking of which, I know this has little, but kind of something to do with this is so Tory Lanez got 10 years for
yes, he did.
Shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the feet. And of course, you know, it was a little disheartening for me to watch the same people who were so pro us over the weekend with the folding chair then turn around and still call her a liar and accuse her of putting an innocent man.
That's delusion.
And it's fine. It's like the cognitive dissonance is probably some of the best I've seen. It's up there with like white evangelical Christianity.
Yeah, they don't help the case that it's the straight black men or the white people of black people, because it's just like, here's all the evidence before you, and to deny it is just you're delusional and you're holding on to something that just isn't there.
It's somebody said to me, she was like, they have this fantasy that these hoes be lying. And, you know, I was thinking about it and I was like, that's true, because how many men have I heard who have no money talking about all these hoes want is money? Well, then you're safe, sir.
I heard that was the opening remark of Tory Lanez's attorney in court.
That she's after money?
That hoes be lying.
That would have been...
Your Honor, the court.
These bitches be lying.
These hoes be lying.
That would have been if I were the judge, wrap it up.
Judges be like, what are we doing here? But I mean, essentially that's what his case was.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have evidence, and I mean,
so many people owe her an apology, including some of my own friends who, you know, were on the wrong side of this thing. And so
1000%.
You know, I look at the lack of protection already of people of color, and then layer that with women of color, and then you layer that with AI, which is somehow being entrusted to police groups that we know have been unfairly policed and over policed since the moment we got off the damn ships in this on this hellhole. And you know, it goes to show that that the people who are doing this work for this, like, this social justice in the digital space, like they're doing good work for good reason. They see what's coming.
Absolutely. It's it's a real it's like a shit lasagna. Just like,
I like that.
All these layers of just it's I don't know. I didn't know. I saw that you know, that documentary. I mean that what's the show? Democracy Now.
Yep.
You know, I saw that clip, and I wasn't aware that there are people working in this whole space about digital, you know, equity and things like that. And so,
yeah, that's dope. The Op-Ed Project actually has a fellowship coming up for those of you who are interested. It specifically is for people who work in that space where they are fighting for social justice in the digital space, like specifically talking about these social media platforms, but then also in spaces like, you know, like AI, whether it be AI writers, facial recognition, like all of that stuff. So I'll also post the link to that. I think the deadline is like the 16th. So the show notes will be out before then. But yeah, I mean, if you are someone who works in that space, or if you know someone, like, they're literally putting think tanks together so that people can go into these companies that are creating these tools and, you know, be the voice of reason for these spaces. So yeah. All right, y'all, we're going to have to move to the next one because we are spending a lot of time. So let's get behind the headlines. I know a lot of you have been hearing that something is happening in Niger. So you know, a coup. You probably heard bits and pieces of kind of what's happening. I really wanted us to talk about, number one, what actually took place over there, but then also why our asses is over there playing around in the first place. And then the other kind of superpowers that are beginning to get involved and why that's important. Just so we're informed about, like, what's happening. So, okay. Yes, there was a coup. 2 years ago, Niger had their first peaceful democratic election.
Okay.
They elected a president, you know, the will of the people. And I put that in quotes because even here we say that our elections are at the will of the people, but a lot of that
electoral college.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. And based on what your elected official is telling you they're going to fix or going to do, only to sway you and not do shit. So we see a lot of that too in, you know, these other, like, democratic countries that have honestly been infiltrated and encouraged by the way we do things here. So, so yeah, they had their first peaceful election. What's crazy about what happened, 2 weeks ago now, is that the president's guard, they are the ones that actually perpetrated the coup. So think of it as if the Secret Service were to hold our president hostage and say, hey, we're assuming power of the United States of America. Like, that's kind of the, you know, apples for apples in the way that you should think about it. So they hold him hostage. They put him under house arrest, you know. So. And
this all happened because, of course, you know, the head of the security guard, the president's guard, is strong-headed.
Yes.
He's got some pretty radical ideas. The president is just like, oh, okay, calm down, my boy.
And the president has cozied up with powers that the head of the presidential guard doesn't think he should be cozying up with. Right.
And so word was that the president was going to fire the head of the guard. And so the president's guard, you know, flipped it on him.
He started talking to his people. His people was like, oh, that sounds pretty good.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. And they, planned and executed this plan to take their president hostage. So I want to point out that this country is landlocked. So it doesn't seem like it should be an important country to places like the United States or Russia or China or even like stronger West African powers. But it is because they have the 7th largest uranium deposit in the world. They supply quite a few countries with their uranium. We knew we were there for a reason. Anytime America has a presence in any country, we know that it's some shit over there.
We're just here for goodwill, baby.
Okay.
What y'all doing with that uranium?
What y'all gonna do with that?
Yeah.
You gonna eat that? So yeah. I mean, so they have the 7th largest uranium deposit, in the world. And so they do supply different countries with their uranium. So long story short, there is a group of West African countries that got together and was like, hey, whoa, easy killer. Because if y'all start fucking with democracy over there, that might give people ideas over here. Right. We have to stop this. So they call a meeting. They put together a deadline that says, hey, the folks who have taken over military rule of this country need to reinstate the president within a week. Or else. They started threatening military intervention, military action. And it wasn't just the Western African countries. France, started talking a little bit of shit. Russia started talking a little bit. America was like, well, we're going to withhold our military aid and our foreign aid. I think we've already withheld, $100 million or something like that. So what's interesting, though, y'all, is that Russia is creeping in.
So you're right. Never trust it.
Russia is creeping in, and the Wagner group, the same group that Russia has contracted with to help fight their war in Ukraine. Remember the ones I was talking about taking Putin out a few weeks ago? They have apparently traded supportive signals with the new military leaders of Niger.
Yeah.
So now it's a whole, okay, wait a minute. If Russia gets involved, does that put the U.S. in another proxy war, which we're already in one?
Of course, yeah.
Does that put the U.S. in another proxy war with a country that, honestly, we depend on for certain natural elements? It's a mess. And so many countries have gotten involved because of their natural resources. It's not because they care about democracy.
Of course.
It's not because they care about the people. Like, remember that France ruled this place for forever, almost. Like, all the banks are French. The water distribution companies are French.
I think it's their official language.
Yeah, it's their official language.
Yeah.
The electric companies are French. So while France left, they never really left.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've always kind of been under the rule of someone anyway. And so, this military coup, part of it, the leader talked about how, number one, we've been under the thumb of colonialism for too long. Number two, our people are still suffering financially, with jobs, with food security, all of that. And so that was, I think, how he sold his ideas to his comrades in the presidential guard to take over. So what I want to point out is that I'm not saying one side or the other is wrong. I am saying that I do understand when you are part of a country and a culture that has constantly been beat up on by superpowers. And finally, you have a country coming to you saying, hey, we'll go take care of that for you if you give me access of to your uranium.
Yep.
You might actually take that deal.
Right. It's kind of, it's the oldest trick in the book too, because, a country like Russia, they know the history. They know that this region has been beat up on. And so it's easy to swoop in and just be like, hey man, I don't like the way they talking to you. You was right to put that dude in the laundry room or whatever they did to him. And so, and I feel like the head of the president's guard, I feel like he's probably like-minded to Putin. There's a real surge of, like small-minded people in heads of state. That's just kind of the era that we're in. My biggest concern is that because this governing African body, it was formed in 1975, but it was primarily just to promote the economic strength of West Africa. So, it's 15 countries. There's 18 countries in West Africa. It's 15 countries officially in this governing body.
Right.
But like, it says that they've intervened before militarily in some other conflicts in the area. I'm not really sure how, can they really take this on? Like, and especially like maybe if it was just, the military of Niger, but like, I don't know how that's going to go with the backing of Russia now. And so that's my biggest concern. And it just seems like all these, these Western powers and of course Russia, they're just kind of stepping in over this whole, they're just ignoring this whole governing body.
Right.
That's been around for, almost, over 40 years now. And I'm just not, it feels like Farrakhan is snuggling up to Scientology. Are you aware of this? Yeah, he's taking black people to Scientology because Scientology, they know they're weird, and Scientology, just like Russia, looks at, Farrakhan and the nation and just say, hey man, y'all been beat up a lot. Why don't you bring, your people over here? It's safe here. We got a building. We got Tom Cruise. Like, it feels like that. And it's just like, you can't trust it because they really want something else.
But it feels better than what you've been beat over the head with for a while.
Exactly. Wow. Because now, Farrakhan is close to powerful white people because, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that same temptation is there for, the head of this presidential guard or whatever.
Well, and I can see that, right? Like, and what is crazy, in your song, 3 Deep, part, like one of, the lines in your verse was talking about, if you're used to 0, 1 or 2,
okay, with the research,
yeah. So like I mean, when you're used to having no one have your back, right?
1000%.
Even
it don't matter who show up to say, yeah, man, I stand with you.
That's right. That's right.
Matter.
Yeah. And I mean, I think about that when it comes to gentrification. They come around here offering people $50,000 for their house. But if you've never seen $50,000 before.
Right. You don't know that ain't shit.
Right.
For the house that your family's been in for, 5 decades.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, I see the same thing with people who are used to nothing. And someone comes and offers you the bare minimum. And honestly, the price in the long run is probably far greater than you would have ever realized, right? Like, imagine if you took your uranium and actually took control of it, how wealthy your country could be if you built your infrastructure around that natural resource. And
the larger implications around if this one country gets into bed with Russia, how it could destabilize all these other countries that are in this governing body, because now they've got this, this psychopath of a leader with them. And who knows what Russia could arm them with and what they could destabilize in the region as a whole. So
that's right. Yeah, that's very true. I do want to point out that Kenya, not Kenya, Mali and there was another country, Burkina Faso, said like, hey, they are literally warning other, not only European, but specifically the Western African countries talking about, military intervention. Don't. That was the message. Like, don't come for us. Don't come for them unless they send for you type of deal. And so, this could very well end up escalating. And sadly, a lot of this escalates because countries like our very own gets involved, because we know that like there's something there that we want. And so there may be a benefit to escalating so that we can go in, destabilize, and get what we want and then get the hell out. So stick it to Russia at the same time. And boom. Now we got a second war with Russia, and we don't even have to fight these people for real. So precisely. Yeah. All right. The third one, y'all. Children. Not suitable for work, adults. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out if this is a First Amendment issue.
I don't think so, just because they're not trying to shut it down altogether.
Okay.
They're just imposing limiting, like a regulation.
Kind of like the drag thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all, there is and this is not the first politician to put this up on the docket, but there's a freshman representative in Louisiana pushing a bill that would mean if you want to go to your favorite adult entertainment website, whether it be Pornhub, are there others?
Little late night DIY. You know, you pull it up and you like.
You pull what up? What are we pulling up?
I mean, I don't know. Your site of choice. And they want you to put in an age verification. Well, they want you to put in a government ID.
That's it. Yeah.
Before you can use this website.
That's right. So they're talking about age verification to access porn sites. Now, so this has been talked about for years now. And so certain porn sites were like, okay, look, if y'all want an age verification, we'll do it similar to like the alcohol sites or say the marijuana sites, right? Where I'm just going to ask, are you over 21?
Yeah, because it covers them.
Right. Legally, they, you lied. I thought you was 21 because you said you was 21.
Right. There was a button. I asked you.
Yep.
It was clicked.
There was even a second step, after a while where put in your birthday, right? And as long as your year, was, I think it was 21 for most of these sites.
Oh shit, I didn't know about the birthday one.
Yeah, like some of them have you actually type in your birthday and boom. But now, as you said, they are talking about actually taking your government ID information, which will then allow them to track
precisely
what the fuck you've been watching online.
Because that's my biggest concern, is that like, what are the implications now for law enforcement? Can they subpoena traffic and if they have a suspect or I mean, we just saw in the topic about AI, and if they think that somebody if they're looking for information, because I mean they've already done this shit with the abortion ban stuff. There are women going to jail for private messages that they're sending on Facebook. That's right. About their abortion. So like, what makes you think that they won't dig all in your porn history?
That's right.
And they pull up your government ID. So I mean,
we're already headed towards The Handmaid's Tale. So if you haven't watched,
I'd say we're pretty much in it. That's the beginning.
I mean, so it's
season 1.
The book is fantastic. I'm sure it's going to be on the banned book list pretty soon. So go and get you a copy. Yeah. But the show, Hulu did a fantastic job with the show. And if you've watched the show, you will remember that Offred and her partner, and the partner would switch every so often, right? But they would take that long walk by the river. And remember, they would hang different
detractors.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought about when I saw this. Like, if this all of a sudden becomes illegal, right?
See, I didn't think about that. If shit switches and then they find your ID on one of these sites.
That's right. You could literally...
Black trucks are pulling up to your house.
That's it. Head covering. Yeah. You out of there.
You watch big oily booty gangbusters and we that's illegal now.
And so the sign would read, watch
big oily booty gangbusters. Yeah.
Damn.
And that would be hanging on your corpse.
So I would have my hood and I would look up and potentially send one of my homeboys hanging up there with that sign.
Yep.
And be like, that what Nathan did, like...
He did, like, big booty gangbusters. Yeah. I bet that's Nathan up there.
Them his shoes.
Yeah, that's
He was a Hirachi boy.
He wore them socks on the green route. That's him.
Let us not speak this into existence.
I'll just be swaying.
Listen.
So yes, that's the concern about it.
Oh God. So yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, because when I was reading about this, I was just like, these fucking evangelicals. But to find out that the root of all this isn't evangelical. Mm-hmm. It's not, you know, like your, you know, it's not a some prude Republican representative. Like this all stemmed from, you know, that, what do you say, their freshman representative. Mm-hmm. She got the idea from a Billie Eilish interview.
Yeah. Yeah. She believed that, so she said her whole goal is to protect the children from porn addictions, which I did the research on. It's very rare and it's extremely treatable.
Yeah.
If someone does end up with a pornography addiction.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, is this like the Supreme Court case where, you know, you're saying businesses don't have to serve LGBTQ couples just in case one wants to be served? Like, come to find out that the lady didn't even have anyone request to build a website for their wedding. This was like, well, what if a gay couple comes to me? Like the Supreme Court made a decision on a what if. And it's almost like this bill is being built on a what if. Like we know that, yes, porn addiction is a thing. People, they struggle with it. But doctors have also come out and said, while it's not only incredibly rare, it's incredibly treatable if it does happen.
Which is fucking crazy because we can't even get a what if bill about the deadliest thing for children in this country, which is guns.
That's it. That's it.
That is like, that's the biggest what if that you could ever come across.
That's it.
And so, but you know, but what if porn? Because what Billie Eilish said that she watched porn at 11 and she said it screwed her brain up. And so now this representative was like, I'm going to do something about this what if kids come across porn or whatever. I just feel like I'm not against, some sort of verification. It's the government ID part that just seems dangerous.
But my thing is like kids, and I don't know about you, but like I grew up in church, so I got real good at lying real early because I couldn't do nothing.
Right.
Everything was off limits to us.
They're going to figure it out.
And that's my thing. Like you're so worried about something that these kids are going to have a natural curiosity about anyway. Like, let's be honest, y'all. As much as we want to teach these kids abstinence and withholding, they are human beings whose biological clocks are going to say, you want to fuck.
Yeah.
Period. I don't care how much you teach that child about it's a sin and you should. At a certain age, certain hormones are going, and it happened to all of us. And this is why I'm saying it in the way that I'm saying it. I don't care how much church them people put in me. At a certain age, my body was like, oh no, we about to do this because we want to see what it's hitting on.
I saw my first porn at a slumber party because the person whose house I spent the night over had an older brother with a computer. He was a computer nerd. And he was like, y'all want to see something? You know what I'm saying? And like, we were still the age where like we were getting dropped off. You know what I'm saying? So like, I can't remember how old we were. We must have been like maybe 10, 11. And so, I mean, kids are going to find a way. It just feels like this is going to have more damaging repercussions for adults who would like consenting adults who would like to have a nice private moment.
Who will now be called, not pedophiles, but like perverts now if you go pulling up some kiddie porn, I'm on your ass.
Yeah, but that's illegal. Right. You know what I'm saying? So sites like you can't even have that shit up on the internet because that shit is getting pulled down. Yeah. And so, these are consenting sex workers, on this stuff. They've cracked down on revenge porn and amateur porn that's, uploaded without, everybody's knowledge in the video or whatever. So if everything's on the level there, I just feel like, there's a different way to get this verification.
Yeah. And I mean, it bothers me that we are removing what children have access to by way of information, like about the world and the way the world thinks. We're banning books. We're banning, history. We're rewriting history. And then we're like, yeah, you can't have that either. Like, so I'm just confused about what these kids are going to know now.
Well, and also what happened to, where does the parents, like where do like child settings come into place here, like, and just limiting their, their usage of things and putting all the locks on stuff. But like, I
think a lot of these kids, and now like we are the parents, right? Like we're officially of age where, our friends, are raising children. So we do have a little more like, technical knowledge, but like, think about when we were growing up, we could get past all that shit. It didn't take nothing for me to figure out my mama's password on the DirecTV because
they'll figure it out.
It was my birthday. Like I was like, you got all these kids. Let me figure out which one of us. And then I put my birthday in, that shit opened right up. It was like, cool. So, like we were of the generation where we knew a lot more about technology than our parents. But I think now that we are officially the parents, like raising Gen Zers and whatever's after Gen Z now, like parents really should have some involvement in, number one, some type of settings, but also those discussions about like, I'm gonna be honest, like I went on vacation with some friends a couple of years ago and I didn't know this at the time, but it was a clothing optional resort. Okay. So I'm sitting here at the pool and this lady takes off her top and is walking around. I'm like, and it took me by surprise, but after a while I was like, well, they titties. Like, okay, whatever, cool. Yeah. So it turned into a conversation amongst me and my friends about, hey, would you ever let your kid, see something like this? And I had to really think about it. And I was just like, yeah, because actually that allows me to control the narrative early with and it helps me to take like the weird out of it. And it's just like, hey, this is what a woman's body looks like.
Kids have a natural, what am I not supposed to be looking at? Right.
And like, let's take sexuality out of it. Like, let's take anything perverted out of it and just talk about it by way of, this is another human being. Right. This is what she looks like.
Right.
These are the parts that may be different from yours. And so for me, I was just like, okay. And when I went to France a few years ago, like I even remember like seeing in my hotel room, pictures like of people in nude, and this was not an adult only hotel, right?
They have nudity on their just like basic TV.
Yes, and I'm thinking like we are kind of creating these perverted minds by, like you said, keeping kids away from what they're naturally curious about anyway, instead of sitting down and having like mature discussions with these kids who would probably really be interested in knowing, like, okay, why am I not supposed to look at this?
It's the greatest gift as somebody who's raising a small child or helping to raise a small child, when the world puts a question upon your child's head and it just comes to you naturally, as opposed to them not knowing anything about it and then searching for it. Like, it all goes back to, them trying to limit, the Don't Say Gay bill and trans people and drag. It's like, that would make it so much easier just being out with your child and seeing somebody in drag and then just be like, and have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
It's just it's a headspace I can't understand about why you wouldn't want that. But I don't know. Somehow these people think that you can keep the world from your children.
The world is too accessible at this point, y'all.
It just doesn't work.
And honestly, you're just creating little people who don't understand, and they're going to go ask someone and they may get the wrong information.
Very good point.
I love my sisters because I have all these nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews. And my sisters have always trusted me to, number one, do what's right by all of them, but also to like feed them information when I thought they were ready. When my nieces start asking me questions, everything from shaving to sex to sexuality, like I was able to have those conversations with my nieces as an aunt, right? Because it was probably something that they didn't want to ask their mom.
Yeah, aunts and uncles are a great buffer.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like if you are an aunt or an uncle, I think you are in one of the most powerful positions possible in a child's life.
It's a great soft launch for a kid to be able to run something by you.
That's right.
About how their parent is going to take.
Because I got to see her every day.
Yeah.
With you, and so like my sisters have always allowed me to have those conversations with my nieces and nephews, and I really do think that has helped them be more empathetic, more understanding, more open to things that, may not be their experience, but they can look at somebody else and be like, oh, okay, well, that's them. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think that's the perfect point about why it should be this way, is that you get a chance to teach your children rather than the world get a chance to. I think that's a great point.
So, yeah. All right, what we got next? Let's talk about Trump and this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and close my little notes up because I'm so tired of I don't even have no notes on Trump.
We gonna keep this one cute so we can get to the folding chair. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So Trump is probably in for a four-peat, either this week or next week. Number 4, and I mean, we keep indictment day was exciting the first time it happened, and now it's just we kind of expect it at this point. So Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. So she has been leading the investigation into Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 results in Georgia. So remember 2021, maybe March, April, we started getting word that Trump was making phone calls down to the Secretary of State down there to asking him to find him some votes. So this is when he kept saying, there's no way that Georgia went purple. There's no way that I lost Georgia. But remember, Georgia had been doing this thing for the last few elections where we was just wait a minute.
Okay, Georgia.
Okay, Georgia.
Is y'all us or no? Who y'all with?
Who you with? So Georgia was considered a purple state now, in that it used to be red. It wasn't all the way blue, but it was starting to be what we would consider maybe a swing state.
Right.
So,
which is wild,
crazy for Georgia to even I wouldn't be surprised if Texas was following. You have the Dallas.
I think we are just because but the only reason we're not yet is just because it's so big. And all of those
rural pockets,
those little ass red towns, but every major metropolitan city is blue.
Yep, big blue, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's been leading this investigation. Actually, it was the Secretary of State. He made that call in January 2021, asking him to find the votes for the state. I think he said find me 20,000 votes or something like that. All right.
I'm just trying to find.
Give it to
19,000. I don't remember the number, but it's it
was around there.
Yeah.
And this was him attempting. He knows how the Electoral College works. So this is him attempting to hit those pockets that he knew could give him the Electoral College votes to get him the election. And
he's very good about, because he's been in trouble with the law for over 40 years now.
How old is he?
He's 70 something?
So I'm gonna call it 50 something, because he probably started getting in trouble as a teenager.
Yeah, no, you
asshole.
Right. But I mean, on a grand scale,
big shit.
He knows how to ask for things without asking for things, so that he's not implicated cleanly. You know what I'm saying? There's never a smoking gun. There is, but in the way he asks about stuff, and so by him saying, "I'm just trying to find," X number of votes, is basically just saying look, man, I need you to go in that back room and come back out and say you found.
Do what you got to do.
Right.
Do what you got to do.
Right.
Yeah. So this is, by the way, a Black woman district attorney who is leading the charge in this investigation.
Yes, God.
She's been accused of being in lockstep with Jack Smith, who is the special investigator who has brought the last. Was it the last two? Two indictments or 3? Did he do all 3?
I don't know.
At least 2.
I know there's a federal one for this same thing, but on a federal level.
I think that's Jack Smith, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one, but the other one is the documents one. Is that him too?
I think that's Jack Smith too.
Okay, well,
yeah,
probably,
he all up in that thing. Yeah. So
again, baby.
She's been accused of being in Lockstep, and I loved her statement. She was like, I could walk past him on the street and I wouldn't know who he is, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know how to pronounce my name correctly. My investigation is my investigation. His is his. All of that. Thing. So in Georgia right now, in Fulton County in particular, they are actually ramping up security for two reasons. Number one, because Fani Willis, and her team are beginning to receive death threats.
Of course.
Simply because they are investigating Trump. And two, it is expected that she will announce an indictment in the next few days, if not weeks.
Yeah.
Long story short, y'all, it's probably going to be a four-peat. He's currently sitting at 78 federal charges.
I don't know.
I believe. With this one, let's go on and push that up to 80-something, 90-something maybe.
It's how I feel about the Trump indictments, and especially the announcements. They're basically the Fast and the Furious franchise of indictments.
I love that.
Listen, I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, but I know what shit's about. It's explosions, it's cars, it's Vin Diesel grunting and saying family. The first movie is the same as what are we on now? 10, 11?
Yeah. Somebody may die.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the same exact thing with these indictments. Like, you remember the first indictment, you know about this most recent one too.
Do you think he'll actually see a prison cell?
I honestly, if I'm being real, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to have hope, but
I would love for that to happen.
Yeah. Does Secret Service go to prison with him if he goes?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know, because we've never had a president go to prison, have we? Because the successor always lets the old guy off the hook.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he would do. Maybe they put him in there with Tory Lanez.
That would be awesome. What they gonna talk about? The women they've hurt.
Probably.
How these bitches ain't shit.
Yeah.
They are lying.
It'll be like it'll be a good night start. Well, first, I think the biggest question is who's on the top bunk.
Tory.
You think Tory?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Trump's not climbing up that
ladder.
Like,
and I feel like Tory is the type of guy who, like, because Trump is wealthy and, like,
I like your style, G.
Yeah,
like, saying shit like that.
He was like, that's big bro right there. Because what was the meme? Like, you niggas can't fool me. Y'all like money. Y'all like niggas with money too. You just call them big bro. Yeah. I was like, yo, that's it. So like. Yeah, I feel like, Tory would be on the top. Trump is definitely, and then, I mean, Tory is a black man, so there's just going to be a certain level, I think, of deference for an elder, like an old man.
Especially one that he probably respects. They do still respect that money shit. I feel like they'll just be telling each other, trading stories of, like, hurting women as bedtime stories.
I think so, too.
But no, honestly, I can't see a reality where he actually goes to prison. Yeah.
I was talking to my grandma about it. And I love that my grandmother has, like, taken to politics. Like,
does she catches up in between Gunsmoke?
Look, okay. So Nathan has met and talked to my grandmother several times, right?
Yo.
She's number one, she's hilarious, but she watches all the old shows.
All the Westerns.
So Gunsmoke, Cheyenne is one of her big ones now. What else she be watching?
She said, I like Gunsmoke.
Yeah, like she was like, they got them old pictures on. I'm like, all right, Grandma. So yeah, that's her stuff. But yeah, she's she's paying attention. And what I also love, so my grandmother is a believer, like in her head, when she leaves here, she is going to meet Jesus, right? And there may be something to that. Who knows, sure. Right? But she watches what's that guy's name? Jimmy Swaggart.
Oh my
a lot.
God.
But what I love is that she is there for the preaching and nothing else. When they start talking politics and when they start defending Trump, like, she'd be looking at me like, these people are crazy. They are nuts. They really believe this stuff. And I love that she can separate the two. Yeah. Like, for her, the Bible is the Bible, but Trump is wrong.
And that's important because that is the Trojan horse for a lot of these voters.
Yeah.
For Trump, that's it's the evangelical stuff. That's how they get a lot of black people on board.
100%.
It's because black people, there are some black people that don't know how to parse that.
That's right.
And what to eat and what to leave on the plate.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, my grandma told me that she thinks that he's going to prison. She was like, it may not be with the first, second, and third indictment. She was like, but that brother going to prison. And so when she said it, I was like, from your mouth to God's ears.
I just feel like there's some monopoly white man card that hasn't been played yet. That we don't even know that, because when they started coming out with all of that, a president can't be indicted. I was just like, what type of shit is that?
Yeah.
Like,
he's still a regular ass man who believes the same way we all do,
and breaks the law.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, you can do whatever you want because you're president. And so,
he did say it. Remember, like he talked about how he could shoot someone in the middle of, what did he say, like Central Park or Fifth Avenue, and still get away with it and still win, not lose a single voter. So yeah,
this is true. So yeah, of course, I hope that he has a cell and he's braiding someone's hair. But I don't have the most faith about it.
I want to see him get a tattoo. That's all I really want to say. So yeah, we're going to keep watching that one. Again, it could be a 4-peat. But let's point out that when it comes to the Republican presidential nominee field, Trump is still leading by double digits his next closest opponent in Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis just fired his campaign manager in an attempt to get somebody else who can catch him up to Trump. So there are all these analysts sitting around like, yo, these indictments are actually helping him. And it's because the way he spins the story. Like, they're coming after me.
That was a quote. Didn't he just say that? He was like, didn't he say, like, these indictments are helping me?
Yeah.
I think if I get another indictment, like, we might as well just cancel the election or something.
Like, I've won. He's if he commits to the Republican pledge to support whoever the ultimate nominee is, he'll be on that stage later this month for the first presidential debate. And
shit is crazy.
I know he's gonna act a fool. He's gonna take up a bunch of airtime. Yeah. And people are going to love it. We saw it with what he did with CNN. So, it's crazy, but this is actually helping him. And crazy enough, I think it is coming from that white evangelical, and not just white. It is people who believe that he has been sent here by God himself to lead America back to greatness.
Okay.
Yeah. Delusion.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I just can't have those conversations with those people. Like, sure,
the Daily Show does a good job. What's our Jake Tapper when he goes out?
Is that who took over?
No, he didn't take over, but he does the street beat.
Yeah.
Like when he talks to some of these people, I'll be like, good.
Yeah, bless him. Because I wouldn't be able to do it.
All right, y'all. 5th story, and then we're gonna get y'all out of here. We have got to talk about Fade in the Water.
So they've announced the charges and the warrants. I think the three of the white men have been or turned themselves in. Right.
Which 3 were those? The one who threw the first punch, I'm guessing.
The one who threw the first punch, and then the two bastards the 2 younger dudes that ran over then make it a jumping.
One like Needham, and then the other one came in. Yeah.
So all 3 of them, I think, are one's turned themselves in, and then the 2 younger ones were expected to turn themselves in like any minute. Okay. I didn't see nothing about them white women. I didn't. Where's their warrant? And then they said it's strange. The commissioner had announced charges, or they wanted to talk to somebody with a folding chair, but I didn't see a black man with a folding chair.
I didn't either.
I didn't see a folding chair at all. So
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's interesting that they saw that.
Yeah. No, I saw like the dudes that was skipping to kind of come to his rescue.
The skipping.
There were a few black women out there that was getting with.
Listen.
Getting with them.
The one who threw that alabaster lady in the water after she was done with her.
Chef's kiss.
It was
Chef's kiss.
It was so good. It was just
because
so
to be
good.
discarded like that after you just got your
I'm
shit
done
rocked.
with you.
I'm gonna let the ancestors take you now.
after they put the beats on you.
Who was that? Bishop Thomas on TikTok. He said they beat the brakes, the carburetors, the radiators, the rear view mirrors off these people. There's so much that this has generated. Just black joy. The posts, the memes are just endless. It's so good. It's so, y'all, years ago, Nathan said something to me that I always go back to, even today. I don't know what was going on with on Black Twitter during this time where you said this, but I will never forget, because Black Twitter was roasting somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know who it was, and Nathan was like, they need to make Black Twitter a branch of the military.
1,000%.
And deploy that hoe. Whenever you need somebody, their self-esteem just destroyed.
Because it hurts. Black people will hurt your ass on social media and have the best time doing it. And just have the healthiest time doing it.
We can't even focus at work. Oh
my God.
Once I found out about this on Sunday, because somebody had actually sent it to me, but I slept in on Sunday. Like, I made it a point to just lay in my bed.
Same.
I was like, let me just lay here. I didn't touch my phone. I wasn't even asleep.
You sent it to me because I was I was on my couch and I was just, oh, what's
minding
this?
your business.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what's this? And I don't think I even looked at it until maybe a little later after you sent it to me. And I was like, oh, shit.
What's this?
What is it? Yeah, after I saw all the video, all the angles.
Y'all, I was going back looking for new angles. Like, does anybody else have footage?
Listen, man, I wasn't joking. I watch it every night before bed. It just feels...
what I love...
Like a devotional.
What I loved is like, that day, it was like every Black person I saw was like...
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
How you feeling?
Yeah.
You good? I'm good. So yeah, I don't know. Like, what I saw in that was, number one, that we may fight amongst each other, and we do. Like, and we can talk about why that is. Like, I think you and I would pretty much see eye to eye as to why we tend to fight amongst one another.
Right.
But Tupac said it, like, we may fight amongst each other, but I promise you this, we'll burn that shit down, get us pissed. And so when I saw that first man who was at the top, kind of on that balcony, when he saw him getting jumped, when I saw him run down, and I was thinking, like, yeah, that's only right. That's the correct response.
He didn't go down there to throw hands. He went down there to shield that man with his own body.
He stepped over. He stood over him to protect him from what was going on. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But when shit started to get real,
when those gentlemen hit that skip,
shirts off,
that skip in conjunction with pulling pants up.
Yep.
Your ass is about to meet some fire.
It's done. You might as well give up the ghost.
And they don't know the signs, so they were just on that pontoon boat. They thought they had
done something.
Yeah, they were just like, yeah, we just, we'll go on about our day. No.
I loved every moment of it. I mean, even to watch, like, because when I saw like the white women running up to get involved, I was just like, okay, all right, you gonna fight amongst men? And I pride myself on having a fairly strong body. I am Bernice built. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't really get with a whole grown ass man.
I don't know what they were thinking.
So I'm like, okay, so to watch women come down and be like, oh, y'all want to be involved? And I'm bing, 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 bing. I was like, God damn. And then there was one point, y'all, and this goes to show that there is no fair fighting with these people. No. So there were two women on each other, and I don't know if you saw this, but one of the white men grabbed the black woman and was like, red shirt. Yes. And hit her.
And then those men, and then everybody else.
Somebody saw it. And next thing I know,
he was on the ground.
He was getting his shit rocked.
He was horizontal.
And I was just like, what made you think that was your opponent?
He ran past two other men.
That's right. To go after her.
To tackle this woman.
Yep. And so y'all, I'm gonna be honest, like that was something I think that our country needed. Like
1,000%. Absolutely.
Because how much do we take in and absorb and sit with all day long when everything from just our day-to-day lives of like the conditions that we live in, how we are treated at work, the microaggressions, all of that. And then you look at like, we know our history in this country, right? So then we got to walk with all of that. We got the trauma in our DNA. Then you literally have our rights being rolled back every single day. And so this moment, which probably shouldn't have even been a big moment, for it to turn into that was like years of animosity and years of anger and years of feeling like I've never been able to do anything with these feelings that I feel coming out. And I think that's why there was so much excitement when them black men was skipping. They were excited about this fight because it was like, this gives me an excuse to show you what I could do to you.
Exactly.
If I were built like you.
And somehow there was still restraint. They didn't go onto that boat and do none of them people. Them people came off the boat themselves. And then, of course, we know how it ended. But like, you know, like it just felt great. It was a monumental moment.
Yeah.
In American history.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw somebody who got a really dope tattoo. Of, you know, something that I think will be a symbol of pride for us for years to come. But we'll make sure them little charges get dropped before we really talk about it. Yeah,
the thing that nobody saw.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what the police thought they saw, but
that's crazy. Who would do that?
That's interesting. I don't know.
Who would do that?
That's a great question.
So yes, I mean, you know, shout out to the culture. I actually saw on TikTok there was a live going on where our African cousins were actually talking about the brawl.
No shit.
And they were actually taking pride in what had happened. And they were talking about, you know, how there is an uprising amongst the diaspora as a whole right now.
That's dope.
And I thought that was, I even thought that was a moment of unity because anyone who is what they were beginning to, I guess, call foundational Black American, we know that a lot of times we are on our own. Like, you know, anti-Blackness is exported from the United States. And sometimes it does, a lot of times it does hit our people within the diaspora. And so I sat in on this live and just to listen to, you know, our cousins from motherland actually like take pride in that. And then acknowledge our history, acknowledge our experience here in this country. I thought that was really cool. Like, yeah, I thought that was dope because I'm not gonna even front. Like, I don't really fool with it like that because I know at the end of the day, like a lot of those people are going to cozy up to white supremacy because they want to be close to the fire. And so I tend not to like.
I always approach it with caution.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and it's not just people in the diaspora. It can be other minorities in America. Yeah,
because anti-Blackness is they figured it out. It's like the key to becoming American.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
I mean, when the two brothers from Tennessee, remember when, you know, they were being, you know, questioned on the House floor, the representative from, I believe from India, got up and began to point his finger at them for not trying to fit in and talk about how this country isn't. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, there was a lady on TikTok who said it best. And then I promise you, we're going to get to your interview. But she said that what had happened with affirmative action, what had happened with that, the Indian representative in the Tennessee House, she talked about the movie One Night in Miami and how there was a scene where I can't remember the football player's name. I wish I could.
Jim Brown.
Yeah. He goes home to visit a family friend, a white man.
Yeah.
He's on the porch. And the granddaughter comes out and was like, oh, you're Jim Brown. I know who you are. And so he goes, the girl goes back in and was like, hey, granddaddy, Jim Brown is here to see you. The granddad comes out. Hey, Jim Brown, how you doing? They sit and they talk like they old friends, all of this. After a while, the little girl comes out and says, hey, granddad, I need help moving my dresser or some furniture or whatever. Jim Brown is a big football player in his prime, right? He's like, hey, I'll go help. The granddad looks at Jim Brown and says, now, Jim, you know I don't allow any niggers in my house. And how she explained it was, y'all are settling for the porch. Ooh. They'll let you on the porch, but at the end of the day, you still can't come in the house. And so she talked about how a lot of these other minorities in our country are settling just to get on the porch. You still can't get in the house.
Bobby Jindal. He was a governor?
Yep.
Louisiana.
Herschel Walker.
They
let you on the porch, my dude. And so the way she put it was like, y'all are settling for the porch when you could be over here building our own community in our own houses. But y'all are so interested in getting on the master's porch that you'll take that over being with people who actually will love and care about you and look out for you. And I thought it was the perfect way of explaining kind of what happened in the house. Yeah.
And I feel like some of them are even okay with the porch. Like they're just honored to be on the porch. And that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I'm garbage. Good. Give me the backyard boogie with the homies.
Yeah, I'd rather have a whole house with my people than be on the porch of,
because they cook fried catfish and spaghetti in the backyard. I don't know what y'all got
in the backyard.
Quiche and pate over there. We good. All right, y'all. I want to really talk about what this man is up to, his work, all the amazing things. By the way, the promo reel for this episode is actually a very small piece of his verse on the song 3 Deep. It's crazy. It's with his boy, Kinfolk Jack. And Dwayne.
From Little Rock, Arkansas. Dwayne Swayze out of Houston. Yeah. It's his song. And he invited myself and Kinfolk Jack. Shout out to Dwayne Swayze because he's been a great supporter of my art and my music. And he's really the one who has kind of like pulled me out of the cobwebs and allowed me to, jump on his songs and things like that. He just released a new song called Show Respect. But he's been played on 97.9 and he's written for Paul Wall and all that kind of stuff. But that's like my brother right there. So yeah, shout out to him.
That's dope. That's dope. So you have a new EP coming out. Like, tell us about it.
Yeah. I was in a group, about 10 years ago, and I never wanted to be a solo artist or a front man or anything like that. And so, MTV and VH1 and all that stuff was happening. It's hard, just like any group, it's hard to get everybody rowing in the same direction. So then when the group ended, I did what, we always tell people, have a plan B and all that stuff. And so, I went to my plan B and it almost killed me, like just not being able to create and put things out into this world. And so now it's just a matter of me getting this shit out of my body.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. I don't want all of this stuff to die on the vine. So it took me a while to figure out what it would even look like for me to record on my own and put music out, because I'm not interested in a lot of, like band photos and stuff like that. And what it would look like, putting my own art out in the world and, my own creations. I can admit that my father was an amazing artist.
Incredible.
Here in the Dallas area. And, he did that for a living, before I was born, but so I always kind of took it for granted, just my talents like that, and so I just kind of had to have a reckoning and just be like, like it's ridiculous that I have these gifts and I'm not doing anything with them. And so, I just really had to get serious about it. And so I'd say over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, I've, really had that man in the mirror moment and just be like, I got to get this shit out of my body.
Yeah.
Cause it feels wrong not to.
Yeah.
So I'm working on, putting out my first EP, on my own, and then I'll get I've been painting, and I had a situation fall in my lap with the food park in 2021.
That was dope. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was a friend of mine that was working with an organization it was a temporary food park. It was only around for like a month in South Dallas, but they built a food park in South Dallas, almost like a trial period, just to see what kind of traffic would come through and what it would do for the community. And then a friend of mine that was working with the organization that was putting that on, they were having trouble finding. They weren't having trouble finding artists. They were having trouble finding Black artists.
Okay.
Because they knew, like, all of their submissions they were getting from non-Black artists. They knew that wouldn't have been a great look for the neighborhood, like, because the people in the organization didn't really look like the neighborhood,
right?
And so, a friend of mine was just like, I know a guy who's an amazing artist. And honestly, I hadn't done anything publicly. Like, I had painted stuff for friends, and, I've got stuff for, in friends' houses and things like that. But it was really like my first public outing. And so, it just worked out. They approached me about the signage, and I just said yes before I could actually think about what I was doing. Because if I thought about it, I would have
overthought it.
It would have scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And so, I did the signage, these big 8-foot letters, at MLK Food Park. And but when the food park ended after a month, this piece that I painted needed a place to go. And it just so happened that the amazing people at Forest Forward approached me, and they were like, "We'd love for your piece to live in the historic Forest Theater."
Yep.
And that shit was just like, I don't know. I still can't believe it, because I drive past the Forest Theater every single day. I lived in Oak Cliff for, I think, 18 years now, and just to think that I have a piece that lives in such a historic building that my family has.
That's right.
My parents went on dates to the Forest Theater.
Your dad had a big presence there.
My dad had they used to go hang out there as teenagers. And so just the fact that building is being revitalized and becoming a cornerstone of this community again, or there's plans for it too, is, it still hasn't quite hit me, but it still gives me chills every time I think about it. So
that's dope.
I'm excited about that. Yeah,
that's dope. Yeah, and I mean, even the level of detail and thought that you put behind those letters. So, y'all, I did go to the food park, and I got to see the letters, and then actually got to see them in the Forest Theater when Nathan and I got to attend it was like a launch. Yeah, soft launch or something. Yeah,
fundraising launch. Yeah.
A lot of rich people in Dallas were there. Yes. And so, hell, I don't know if I was your plus one or if I got an invite on my own. I don't even remember. But somehow we ended up there together.
I think you sent me, because I think you texted me. You like, "Are you going to this thing?" I was like, "What thing?"
Oh, okay.
And then and then Forest Forward was like, "Of course he can come," but I didn't know nothing about it.
So we both know Elizabeth Watley, who's the CEO of Forest Forward, and so I'm pretty sure she had sent it to me. So I knew your art was going to be there. So we go to the event. It was great. There was a lot of money in the room. You could definitely tell that it was
just so great to be in that building, man. Dope. Yeah.
It was definitely like a dope fundraiser. And when they unveiled kind of the renderings and the plans for what they plan to do with the space and with the building, like you could almost, like it was like spiritual, like what was happening in the room, like this sense of kind of like magic of like, this is what the community has been needing, because art and our sense of expression has always been a part of who we are. Like you said, you have to get your art out. And I feel like that's why we are so creative as a people, because we take all of our experiences and we take everything that we digest during the day and we repackage that shit and we turn it into something that feeds other people, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, to like watch your art go into the Forest Theater, I was incredibly proud. And I know like Elizabeth has talked to me about, you know, as the theater grows, like having you
I would love it.
Kind of, you know, be that person, right? Who develops the vision visually for what the art would look like. So, yeah, like I can't say enough about just the impact that I've seen you have in the last few years. And I love that you had that self-reckoning where you realize like you are full of talent innately, right? Like some of it is definitely from your father, right? Like you get it from him genetically, but I truly believe that like your soul is meant to be here as an artist. Like you just, you like exude it. And so for you not to use it, it's almost like a slap in the face of the creator. Like, what'd you put it here for?
Yeah, I really did have that realization, you know, being away from it. I was just like, it just feels wrong.
Yeah. So that's dope that you're getting it all out now. So when is the EP expected? Because
I mean, I'm probably aiming for beginning of next year.
Okay.
I'm about maybe 95% done.
Okay. You got any features that?
No, honestly.
You doing it solo?
No, I mean, I've got some different musicians playing on it. But yeah, it's all me. And, you know, you talked about us, you know, the things that Black people take into our bodies, and then, you know, we push it, you know, we're almost like a trauma filter.
I love that.
You know, the things that we take into our bodies and then the art that we put out. You know, the title of the EP is When Were You Apart? And it, I got that title from an actual conversation I had, because a conversation I had back in 2016, I think. And it was right when Eric Garner had just happened, or they had just announced that they weren't going to indict the police officers that killed him. And then I think there was like maybe 2 other killings around the time that they announced that. And I just had like a really tough day mentally around all of that. And I had a friend, a Chicago friend, had a huge afro, and I saw that she had cut her hair off. And I was like, man, your haircut is really putting me together. And she was like, well, when were you apart? And I was just like, it took that for me to understand, like, damn, I really had a tough day, because I had to go sit in that office all day. And deal with that, and, you know, deal with people coming to your door. Hi, can I steal you for a moment?
Their world is not impacted at all.
And I was just in my office, just completely coming undone. And so yeah, you know, it's based off of that. And so I mean, I've been piecing it together. You know, I've produced it all and all that stuff. So but yeah, I'm thinking the beginning of the next year.
Okay.
If I can get it out any sooner than then, you know, of course it'll happen. But I'm coming down to the wire now. So now I'm like, you know, I'm reaching out to musicians and giving them ultimatums. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, because I mean, you know, a lot of us have our 9-to-5, and then we have this thing that we're building kind of quietly, you know, after hours. I like to call it the 6 to midnight. Like, what does your day look like? And I'm asking because I'm wondering how many other creatives are going to see this episode and be like, yo, how does he balance?
That's a fantastic
all
question.
of that? Yeah.
because so I'm in a decent place right now with, you know, the paycheck people. And I've had to talk to myself and just be like, okay, look, this isn't your real life. This is just a thing that you have to do. And you know, it's an industry that I know very well. I work in residential construction. I build houses. I've been building houses for 10 years this October. They want me to do more. Okay. And I won't, because more, as you know, they're gonna want more of me. That's right. And they've been saying, I've thought about this earlier today. They've been saying this a lot in like all company meetings. When they shine the spotlight on somebody, they always include, they never say it's not their job.
But it ain't.
And it's just like, so they really do want to reward you for not having boundaries, for being able to just be running to the ground. That's what they want. And I've been fortunate to have to come across a director who knows to just let me cook. Okay. She'll hit all her numbers and all that stuff. I'm gonna make her look good. Just leave me alone. And so I've strategically stayed where I am so that I can have more capacity emotionally and mentally. That's right. When I go home to my real life on the black ass side of Dallas, Texas, and pour into whatever I'm working on. That's dope. Yeah. And so, you know, it's an equation that you have to figure out, but like when you do, it's perfect because, you know, you can fund everything that you have to do. That's right. In terms of, you know, your real hustle, or your real life, the fulfillment that you get out of creating. And so I'm just, you know, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have the same headaches at that paycheck or whatever, but being in a place where making the decision to like, I'm not taking more money. I'm good right here. Yeah. I could use more money, but I'm not struggling. Yeah. I can still do everything I need to do. So like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to bring up the Dallas Cowboys. I apologize. But I watched this interview with Michael Parsons, the star linebacker of the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. And bro's only 23 years old, and he says things that, you know, 50-year-old men, knowledge that 50-year-old men had. And, you know, they were talking to him and he was just like, yo, I'm telling you right now, like, he's only in year 3. He's only been playing for 3 years. And he was like, I'm telling you right now, like, once I get what I've come here to do, I'm gone. And he was just like, I already have it in my head. There's a certain age and I'm out of here. And they were like, yeah, but like the big contract and, you know, what he was like, I don't want more. I want enough. And it goes along with my favorite Questlove quote when he talks about being a professional recording artist. He said, we got in this to make a living, not a killing. And I feel like the larger implication of both of those statements is to be fine with enough. Yep. I feel like gluttony and, you know, everybody knows the bag is important, but I feel like the thing that we don't talk about is that shit is a European disease, to be money hungry and to do whatever you need to do at all costs to get to this paper. And, you know, it's the same reason you and I are sitting here now and we don't know our true family names. Is because they do whatever, you know, they did whatever they had to do to get to the bag. And so, you know, when I see things about Black billionaires, look, that's great. Black economic empowerment is great. I just but it also just didn't quite add up to me.
Yeah, no, I get it. 100%. Like I also had to learn that I was content. Like as long as I could, take care of myself, help out with my family. Like I didn't need the big corporate, ridiculous, stressful ass job. And I mean, you said it, like when you have something in you that needs to come out, I don't care how much money you go make at that job, you're going to go to bed every night leaving something undone, and you're going to feel that every day. And so
exactly.
I mean, it's crazy because I left corporate, about a year and a half ago now. And still it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I feel like, crazy enough, like the universe opened up for me and opened every door I needed to be open to make sure I was okay when I left that big fancy, office job. And so, right. And it's crazy because like now I hear people say stuff like, oh, well, you don't have a real job anymore. And I'm like, that's funny because you can't do what I do.
Exactly.
That's what's interesting about me not having a real job. Exactly. It's like you actually don't understand what it is to have something in you that has to come out, lest you don't sleep at night, lest you don't feel like you're doing what you're supposed to do here on earth with the very, very finite time that we have.
Absolutely.
On this earth. And so I 100% understand that. And crazy enough, the one time that I got to meet Al Sharpton, he had come to my old company for like a Black History Month thing or whatever. And so at the time I was the chief of staff. And so I got to just kind of sit in the room with him before he prepared to go on stage. And he talked to me about us taking on the ideal of success from the supremacists, right? And he talked about how like y'all are sitting here in this fancy office with your big job and you don't realize that it was never meant for you to just do for you. It was always about kinship. It was always about community. And so if you come in here and get yours and don't ever do anything for the people who literally are connected to you, not only by blood, but spiritually, right? Like mentally, emotionally, all of that, then you failed.
Can't
and
do it
like and I didn't leave my job for years until like after that, but it always stuck with me. And I remember thinking, like, don't get so caught up in their idea of success, the big, ridiculous ass house, the fancy car, all of that. Like think about experiences, think about your relationships, think about how you're helping, the people first, and the money will flow. And it has. I have definitely noticed that, like, as long as I focus on the process and the work, like the money will come. Oh my God. You build it and people will come. And so,
an unbelievable way.
Yeah. And so I love to see what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I've watched you grow for years and like really, because there were times where I'd be like, oh, he's so talented. What is he doing with this? I wish I had a portion of what he had inside of him. And to watch you like, take these ideas from your soul and from your mind and then actually like put them out to the world is just incredible. And you do it not only in a way that's dope as fuck, but in a way that like impacts people. So one of my favorite parts of your MLK letters was the land acknowledgement that you did for, our indigenous, our indigenous cousins, right? Who, have warned us for years that we are on sacred land, that honestly, the supremacists have not respected, and we see what's going on the earth now. It's literally on fire.
They don't respect nature at all.
It's literally on fire.
Yeah.
And so, I love the land acknowledgement that you did. And I was thinking like, who else would have even had the thought to do that, to not only represent us, but represent, our distant cousins, right? Who were here before we got here and who know this land better than we do and who could probably teach us how to heal it, to be honest.
And it's still theirs, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I think about it all the time. They could solve like global warming. We just got to listen.
We sitting in Oak Cliff, South Dallas is down the street. But I mean, the ghosts that are on this land, like it's all their folks. And, there've been all, tons of other energies that are mixed in now over the centuries, but like, I mean, they've been here for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. So
they don't. And we can talk about that because that brother that swam across that that water, they said the ancestors carried him.
Man.
And I said, you ain't lying, because like you think about what was going on at that port. Mm-hmm. You ain't like there is a presence there. There has to be a presence still there. That like, I mean, I go home to my grandmother's house sometime and I'll be like, hey mom, like I still feel her. I still talk to her. So I can imagine, like you talk about this being native land. Oh yeah, they're here.
Yeah,
they're here. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
That's dope. Well, thank you for everything you do. Like for real. I can't wait to hear the EP. Like when you drop it, you got to come back and hang out
absolutely.
with me.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'm just, I can't even put into words how incredibly proud I am of you. This is amazing.
Thank you. Like for real. Y'all get used to this face. I've been recruiting him for a long time. But man, so I think I mentioned last week that the show is going to be joining Sour Kids Productions. We're actually going to be moving one more time into the studio space up there. And so I hit Nathan to kind of tell him the good news. And I was hoping that at one point this offer would come, but he was like, if you need a co-producer, you know, anything creative direction. And I was just like, yes, absolutely. Because I can't say this enough, y'all. Like this man is like he has that type of eye that they was trying to get on Get Out. like it's pretty crazy. And so, yeah, I'm super excited just to be able to like build this out with people that I love and who I know love me and see the vision. Cause I like, you know, when they start seeing your potential, like you don't really know whether or not you can trust them being there for the right reasons. And so it's so cool when like people like you and Anthony and, you know, like folks who have known me for years before I was even doing this, like who want to jump in and get involved. And I think that's so dope. So yeah, we're actually going to do the first sprint, the first 8 weeks here while we build out that studio space and just get it ready.
So dope.
To move everything up there. And then y'all will see one more change of location. And then we will be settled.
Season 3. We'll call it season 3.
We'll call it season 3, yeah.
Season 3 in a new spot.
So that'll be like mid-October is when we'll move up there. But I'm really excited. And shout out to Kenneth, who is going to be kind of the big executive producer of the show for just like seeing the vision and just offering. Right. For me to grow with his company and with his platform and with his agency.
Fantastic.
So yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. And I think that we have a good message to carry, not only to people who look like us, but people who want to understand, you know, our experience and our perspective on what's going on around the world and in the country. Right. So yeah, let me give a few shout outs. So 4152 Entertainment, they did the custom cocktail for the month. I still haven't drank it on the show because I feel like I would be slurring my words.
You still have a job to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to make a little slide with the cocktail. It's a company out of LA who does amazing work. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. The recipe is tequila, pineapple juice, orange Red Bull.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like a splash of orange Red Bull. And I don't really fuck with Red Bull because it makes my heart race. I tried to take that. Like I took the GMAT on a Red Bull one time.
Yeah. I've never had a whole Red Bull. I took a sip of one when it first came out years ago, and I was like, this is not for me.
You was walking on the ceiling.
Yeah, I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, nah. So, yeah, and then you garnish it with a cherry and an orange slice. Sounds like, no, it is amazing. I've had it, but I just refuse to drink it on the show because I would probably be like drawing random shit on the board while this man is talking to me. And then again, a shout out to Sour Kids Productions, who we are joining their platform with Elm Street and Final Drive, 2 of their bigger shows. So shout out to those guys.
That's awesome.
And to Great Black Century, who is going to make this just a dope experience. And I'm really excited about working with you on this. So yeah, Viceland, y'all come pick this up quickly. You know,
come holler at your gear.
Yeah, we'll take BET. Aisha.
Yeah.
Where y'all at?
You know, put the numbers together.
Right. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to get out of here. 7:00 next week, Central Time. We have another dope guest lined up for y'all. I will drop all that info in just a little bit. Don't forget that Friday, the video and the audio episode will be out for y'all to listen. Tell your mama, your pastor, your mechanic, all of them.
Your grandmother's physical therapist.
Your turtle. Let your turtle listen to it. Motherfucker could learn something. And yeah, we gonna get out of here, y'all. Thank you for bearing with us too. So we are recording in a place in Dallas that just does not have great internet service, but we are going north to the new studio space where they got good fiber, and we'll be able to keep y'all online for a lot longer. So
made a way out of no way.
A ram in the bush. Yeah. Look at God. Look at. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna fade to black, and we'll see y'all later.
Still wouldn't be enough, and they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.